I'm talking to Bruce Schneier about security and public interest technology. So you describe yourself, Bruce, as a public interest technologist, which I thought was a great description. But I thought I'd just begin by asking you to tell us what that is and why being one is a good thing or an important thing.
So this is not my term. This term is actually being used more and more. And it really is someone who bridges technology and policy. And it's either a tech person who's doing policy work, a policy person doing tech work, someone in between, someone doing tech at a policy organization or at an NGO. I mean, there are lots of different flavors of this, but it really tries to get to the notion that technology affects society broadly, and we need people who understand that. I mean, think of I don't know, the TikTok debate that's happening like right now, right? Techies and policy people need to work together here. And there's many of those debates. And, we're used to tech and policy people talking past each other, and that never works. So the notion of a public interest technologist is this sort of person. Uh, Google it. You'll see lots of people writing about it. I maintain a public interest tech page where I collect links and articles and programs at universities in public interest tech, sort of different ways this term is being popularized and sort of becoming more important.
And presumably, there are some who will specialize in this and do it as a major part of their life. But there will also be people who are technologists who today is more important, are aware of the impact of what they're doing because it has such wide social consequences.
Right. And that's a notion that, decades ago, tech was just tech. And
Yeah.
now tech has broad social implications. We talk about social media's effect on teenagers. We talk about the phone as a surveillance device and what that means. Internet of Things, drones. I mean, we just go on the pieces of technology that are no longer just tech, they're about our world. So it really is a recognition that tech and society are not separate, right? That they are one thing. I mean, here we are talking about these topics for your students, and we're doing it on a tech platform. And we're doing it
Absolutely.
on Zoom. And Zoom's particular affordances matter here. And someone might take this and have an AI make a summary of it. And that matters. And all of these things affect society in deep ways.
Which brings me on to the first area that I thought we might look at. Artificial intelligence. You've talked about its impact on democracy. So I was interested in your thoughts about that. And also on the question of whether artificial intelligence should be regulated, and if so, how?
It's a hard question, right? The EU has the AI Act. I mean, they have attempted a first pass at a broad AI regulation. I mean, the answer to the question, of course, is obviously yes. Right? Any technology that is potentially dangerous or society changing needs regulation, not just by money, right? That's market regulation, but by society more broadly. And that's political regulation. So, I mean, the odds that it does need regulation is zero. How is a big question, and we don't know, right? EU is trying. The AI Act is big and complicated and just coming into force. We'll see how that works. California in the United States is doing the most to regulate AI in the US. Other states are behind, but sort of working on it. There's no real anything at the US federal level. Other countries, I think, are looking at it too. I haven't heard anything major. But, this is, I think, one of the big problems of this decade. One of the big issues of this decade is how to regulate the technology that will very broadly affect our lives. And I forgot the first part of your question.
AI and democracy. What do you think the impact is there?
So I think the impact's enormous. And actually, just over there, I'm writing a book on AI and democracy right now. It'll be published in the fall. And it's very complex. I mean, everyone talks about misinformation. I think that's just a tiny part of the picture. So the book I'm writing with Nathan Sanders as my co-author, we have 5 broad areas. We look at AI in elections, how it will affect the process of electing people, and whether it's augmenting polls or figuring out get out the vote efforts or advising on campaign strategy. There's a lot of things there. We look at AI in legislating, and that's what happens when AI start writing laws, start drafting bills, start engaging in lobbying strategies, and everything around that. The third area, we look at AI and administration, and whether it is benefits administration or auditing compliance documents or just doing the business of government. There's a lot of applications of AI. Fourth place we write about is in the justice system. AI is adjudicating disputes. AI is being legal assistance. AI is being involved in how the law gets interpreted and enforced in different ways. And finally, we look at AI and people, and whether it's political organizing or helping you understand issues or even voting on your behalf. A lot of ways AI will affect citizens. So, that's the gloss. It's a whole book. It's not obvious. And it's not obvious whether these will be good or bad. I think a lot of them will be good, but a lot of them have potential for being bad. And watching AI interact with democracy and sort of making sure that it benefits us rather than hurts us, I think is going to be the work of the next few decades.
Yeah, I think, over the last 15 years that I've been teaching the course that that this is for, we've seen the views on the relationship between technology and democracy change, fundamentally. There was huge optimism 15 years ago, and
And now
not
there's
as
huge
much, not
pessimism.
as much now. Yeah,
And my guess is reality is somewhere in the middle.
yeah,
I mean, like all technologies, they're both good and bad, right? It's not the tech, it's the system in which it's embedded in.
yeah.
I worry less about the raw tech and more about, how our democracy is working, how global capitalism is working. Those things matter a lot more.
Yes, they do. Well, I shall buy your book.
I appreciate
But
that.
you've also argued, to move on to another area, that cybersecurity thinking should be applied to redesign democracy, which I thought was quite fascinating. I've not had an opportunity to explore exactly what you mean by this, and I'd be interested if you would tell me.
So this is my previous book, which I'm actually going to pull off the shelf.
Okay.
So this is A Hacker's Mind. And what I do in this book is I take cybersecurity thinking and apply it to more broad social systems, right? So take the tax code. It's not computer code, but it's code. It's a series of algorithms. And we can imagine that that code has vulnerabilities, right? We call them tax loopholes. It has exploits. We call them tax avoidance strategies. And there are black hat hackers that look at the code trying to find vulnerabilities. We call them lawyers and accountants. And you can really think about the tax code or other government regulations or other political, economic, social systems and how we hack them, how we find things that are permitted by the rules but go against the spirit of the rules. I spend a lot of time talking about sports rules. Hacking sports is really common. So I think about democracy in that way. Right? The filibuster is a hack of democracy. It's an ancient hack. 50 BC, Pliny the Younger first realized that the Roman Senate, the rules said that all votes have to happen by sundown. And he realizes if he doesn't stop talking, they couldn't get anything done, right? That's an example of a hack. It's not an intended outcome of the rules as written. So I think democracy, our democratic systems have been hacked very extensively by powerful groups and individuals, and that redesigning these systems to be more resistant to hacking is something we need to do. So that is how I think about it. I've written about this. If there are going to be links you're going to give your students, I will send you a link on hacking systems. And I think about AI in this way. I think about a lot of things in terms of hacking. And democracy is something we need to rebuild for this century. So I want us to think in terms of how the systems can be exploited and how to prevent those exploitations.
Some of that thinking might also apply to the next area that I was keen you talk about, which is national security. This is also something I think you've looked at. And how would you describe the impact of technology there?
Right? Technology has always been intertwined with national security. I mean, I'm not sure how to talk about the impact. I mean, like nuclear weapons, good, bad. Drones, good, bad. The impact is things change. I mean, like drones might change the nature of naval warfare. That a multi-billion-dollar aircraft carrier gets sunk by, a couple of $10,000 worth of drones is going to change the way things work. Is that going to happen? I don't know. It might not. So the exchanges are extensive. I don't think they can be summarized.
Yeah, okay. But at the same time, it is having an impact on citizens and potentially on their lives. So
As
you've
tech
thought about
always
that, I
has,
think.
right? This is also not new. Right? This has been true forever.
But are those consequences that people should be concerned about, that they
I
should
mean,
be trying
so
to
it's a tough
influence in
question.
some way?
What does people should be concerned about mean? I mean, that's a really, I don't know, which people? How
Okay,
concerned? In what way? These aren't black and white questions.
no, but presumably there are new areas to consider in the sense that if technology is being used in national security, perhaps to surveil the behavior of citizens in some way and apply it perhaps in ways such as is being done in China with this social credit and that type of thing. Uh, that would be something that for many citizens they would regard it as undesirable.
And yet some might regard it as desirable. I mean, yes, these technologies have implications broadly for
Mhm,
citizens. I
mhm.
mean, I have trouble telling people what they should be concerned about. There are thousands of things you should be concerned about. You can't be concerned about them all. You have to pick and choose. The hope is that people are working on the things you're not working on. I truly believe that. Otherwise, we will never get through these next years. Right? We have to believe that others are working on the problems we're not working on. So I don't know if I should tell you yes, this is the thing you should be concerned about.
But presumably, awareness of the consequences.
Is useful in some circumstances. I mean, I don't know. Yes, but like you should be aware of microplastics. You should be aware of coal burning. You should be aware of I could go on for thousands of things and you can't be aware of them all. There's just not enough hours in the day. You must pick and choose. The person who's handling dealing with wildfires in LA, let them do that.
So your message almost seems to be, and this is probably pushing things too far the other way, but that we shouldn't worry about what we
I
don't.
mean, who's the we? When you say we, who is we? You and you is we you and I? You and I should probably worry about it. Is
Okay,
we the hundreds of millions of
students,
people out there? I don't know.
students in the classroom that might be watching
Students
this.
in your classroom? Yeah, probably something they should worry about because they're in your
Okay,
classroom.
okay, and they should worry about it because they're in the classroom, or because
Because
this.
it's their topic.
Right, that's what I wanted to know.
And,
Yep.
and right. And maybe some of them it's not their topic. I mean,
Okay.
guy, I mean, we can have a lot of things to deal with. We need to pick and choose.
Okay.
I,
Which
I'm,
I
I'm
think
not
is
going to
not
tell
bad
I'm not going to
advice.
tell anybody that this is the problem they should work on as opposed to another problem. Work on something.
Yeah. Okay. But the broad case of that technology is having an impact on society, and that people should have some awareness of that, and where appropriate, be trying to influence things in the direction they think
Yeah, I would
they
like
think
some
would be
some
desirable.
influence during through the democratic process. I mean, I
Okay.
think that
Yep.
leaving this all to the market is a mistake.
Yep. Okay. So hmm, the internet enables people to access and leak data from government and other sources. We've seen that happen periodically. Uh, you've you have thought about this, and I was interested in what you thought. What you thought about it, what you thought the attitude towards this should be. Is it something that is
I mean,
uh,
I don't think it's an internet thing at all. I mean, people have been
okay?
accessing and leaking data from governments for what, thousands of years? So they'll keep doing it.
Mhm, mhm.
Uh, I mean, whistleblowing, I think, is an important uh, check on government. Devil's in the details here, right? But this is not something new. We shouldn't look at government whistleblowing as a new phenomenon enabled by the internet. I mean, the affordances are different, but this is much older than the internet. Uh,
Yep.
I teach here at the Harvard Kennedy School. There are people here who have lots of opinions on this. I tend to think that modern governments, the United States especially, overclassifies. A lot of information should be public that isn't.
And has technology changed the nature of the of leaking and whistleblowing? Has it made it easier and more likely, or does it make it easier for governments to police it?
Yeah, so don't know. It's a good question. I mean, I don't have the data, right? You're asking,
Right?
can
Okay.
we chart the whistleblowers through history, and are we seeing a spike in them that we can attribute to the internet, not just to, people mistrust government more? I don't
Yeah.
know the answer.
Okay.
Right? It's an interesting question, and probably something that could be researched, but I wouldn't think it's obvious.
Okay. Okay. Because presumably, if there is more, and then that is a change in the way this is happening, and potentially might impact the practice of government, the freedoms of citizens, and
Yeah,
things like
and I think
that.
that's right. I mean, and it's going to be up and down. I mean, you think about the internet affecting social organizing. We saw changes within a few years in either direction. So I'm not. I don't know if there are long-term trends. I mean, you're right. I mean, there's the sort of the twin trends of data is sort of easier to steal. It's really very easy to
Yeah.
steal a thumb drive with 1 million documents when that
Hmm.
used to be hard to steal. On the other hand, technology enables surveillance of people who might steal those documents. So you're going to have pushes in both directions.
Okay. Uh, Modern warfare. the implications of technology for that, and future international relationships and conflict. I think modern warfare is a fascinating area. There are so many aspects or areas where technology is having an impact today, everything from cyber to drones to many other things. What are your thoughts here?
Again, really complicated. There aren't single thoughts.
Mhm.
Uh, my warfare has always been led by tech. Gunpowder, siege engines, airplanes, nuclear weapons. I mean, we can do that radar. We can do this 1,000 times through history. So it is interesting to watch warfare using tech. I mean, right now the things that are big seem to be drones, which are very much changing a balance of power, and cyber attacks, which are sort of very complex and now seem to live in this gray zone between war and peace in ways that, again, people here at the Kennedy School study more than I do. But
Mhm.
yes, it is super interesting to look at modern computer technologies and how they affect war.
Yeah, and then broadly, what this might do as far as relationships between countries and between social movements and
Yeah, I'm
political
not
groups.
sure it affects it that much because those are people based, but maybe.
Yeah, okay. The Internet of Things, you referred to that earlier.
All right.
The social impact of the Internet of Things.
I'm looking at another book. I'm going to pull out all my books now. This is my book on IoT security called Click Here to
Okay.
Kill Everybody. I spent a lot of time, it's like 2018, I think, thinking about Internet of Things and security. Basically my point is that everything's a computer now. Your car is a computer, your refrigerator is a computer. And that means that all the things about computers now permeate everything.
It's true. And does that have a specific social impact of
I
some
don't
kind? Is it
know.
changing?
Probably. I mean, specific. I mean, it probably has a general social impact. Don't know.
Okay. Okay.
I think more about the security and less about the more general social impact. But certainly, right? The fact that these are all computers is going to matter, and I think sometimes in surprising ways.
Okay. You talked earlier about the hacker's mindset and talked about it particularly around democracy. But you also, I think, when you talked about the hacker's mindset, talked about it in respect of lives more broadly. Uh, and presumably you're thinking on this in the way that you described it around democracy. The hacker's mindset you think should be applied more broadly in
Well,
how
I mean, I
people
think it is
think
a
about what
way
they
of
do.
thinking. Again, should is a, I don't know how to do shoulds. I
Okay.
think it is useful in some instances to
Mhm.
think about systems in terms of attacks and defenses and ways to get around the rules, that hacking mindset. I think it is valuable. I mean, I teach a class again here at the Kennedy School. I teach a public policy class in cybersecurity, and I try to teach that mindset, that way of thinking about systems, and I think
Mhm.
it does have value.
Yeah, because presumably one of the things it would do would be to identify unintended consequences of
Yeah, and I think
technology.
they're right. Unintended consequence is a good word.
Okay, good. Then we understand that area. And we can move on to the last very small question.
Oh wow, okay, a tiny question. I'm ready.
Yeah. What impact do you think the new US presidency will have on the public impact of technology? And
Oh God, no freaking clue. I don't know if anybody can answer that question. That's don't know. We have I think we have no idea, right? It's going to be very chaotic. It's going to be right. I mean, I don't no idea.
And I think your
I don't
reaction,
think anybody can answer that question.
no, I'm not even sure if the man himself can, but as far as technology goes, my observation, pretty simply, I guess, was that there are a bunch of technology people in there at the moment, but you've also got all the traditional base that the new president has, and there's uncertainty about which will be more powerful
That's right.
in
And remember,
influencing.
he's not running for office ever again, so he doesn't have to satisfy the
Mhm.
people who voted for him, right? There's no the accountability is weird. I'm not sure he really likes his party very much. I mean, so I don't know. Nobody knows. I don't think we
No,
can. I don't think we can even hypothesize at this point.
which is an interesting way to leave it at the
It
moment.
is. It
Uh,
is, and a little bit disturbing, but it is
yeah,
where we are.
I agree with you. I think it's where we are too. Bruce, I'm really grateful to you for talking to me. I've
Thanks for
enjoyed
having me
our
on.
discussion.
So say hi to your students, and yeah, thanks for talking to me.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing your book.
Yeah, it's coming in the fall, and I'm looking forward to it being done. We'll see if anybody wants to read a book that is optimistic about AI and democracy in October.
But I think we should, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Bruce.
Bye bye.
Bye now.